All right. So as far as introductions go, I'm gonna go first. If everybody could go ahead and mute their microphones. Let's see. Everyone has except Brendan there. I'll go ahead and begin. So my channel, if you're streaming right now from the channel, as you know, it's God Works Out. But I go by the moniker Aeolus, your favorite atheist. You can follow me at God Works Out. I also admin for the pages Religion Hurts Humanity and Philosophical Atheism, and I also blog over at religionhurtshumanity.com. You can go check those out, give those pages a like, and also subscribe to the posts. Other than that, I've probably been an atheist for, I would say, probably most of my life. I kept it kind of on the back burner for a while just because everyone in my family told me, oh, you can't be an atheist. If you're an atheist, we've got to get rid of you. We've got to disown you, that type of thing. So I first became an atheist when I was about 12 when I took biology. And then ever since then, it was kind of on the back burner except for these last 2 years. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to the Godless Engineer for his introduction.
Well, hello, I'm the Godless Engineer. If you don't know me, I'm on YouTube at Godless Engineer. And I'm on Facebook, Godless Engineering. We have several groups that we also have. It's groups, Godless Engineering. You just go up to the search bar on Facebook and type in group or Godless Engineering. You'll come up with a whole bunch of groups. So you can just go on there, check us out. But I started my page being the Godless Engineer after I got my bachelor's in computer engineering, and I found myself at work a little bored, doing daily work stuff, but surfing the internet and making my family members mad with my atheist comments. I had just kind of recently, started being more vocal about my atheistic worldview, and most of my family didn't like it. So I created a page, and I started commenting and sharing images, and I eventually learned some graphic editors and whatnot to make my own images and my own points, and I just, posted on the page, had fun with it, posted my views, commented on other pages, and just sort of progressed that way. I started back in November 2012, and that's while I was posting as I was going to college for my master's degree, which I eventually got, and in software engineering, and that's kind of brought me to here. We, like I said, we have several groups that I haven't really been focusing on, but I do try to manage my admins of all the groups, which is a little tough at times, but considering that we have about, I don't know, I'd say about 10 groups in all, it gets a little time consuming. So, but I would urge people to go onto my channel and check out videos. I just recently posted a video about the pledge, whether or not you should say it, and I give you kind of some information on the background of it and what the pledge actually means and whatnot like that. So, but I think the next on the list is it Tyler or Brendan?
Next on the list is Brendan, aka the Prototype Atheist.
All right. Yeah, I am Brendan. I go by Prototype Atheist on social media, and so you can find me on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I do Twitter. I also comment on like Discus. Any sites that use that as a commenting system, I use that moniker. And basically, I've been full-on out atheist for maybe about 2 years. I grew up, I was raised Catholic, and around age 17, 18, like my senior year of high school, I kind of went to atheism for a little while there, and then kind of went back, because I was kind of disenfranchised with like Catholicism. It was all kind of strange to me, and it wasn't really something that I thought, that I could believe in. So I took a little break, kind of did like an atheism thing, but then I kind of went back to Christianity and kind of checked it out again and tried various other churches and various other belief systems within Christianity, and just kind of did some exploring for a long time. And only within the last couple of years kind of like came to the conclusion that it's just, it's not true, and kind of started coming out slowly as an atheist, and then eventually got a lot stronger. I always did a lot of conversing online with people about religion and atheism, even when I was religious. So, over time, I kind of got a lot of information and arguments and things, and kind of over time was able to change my position. And now actually I'm, pretty confident in what I want to do is try to help other people to kind of do the same thing, kind of leave religion behind, to realize that, it's kind of absurd and nonsense and doesn't really align with what we know, in science and things like that. So, pretty much that's my thing. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm not really, I try, when I have time, I try to make YouTube videos. I try to put one out about once a week or so. I do, make memes and things like that, and I post content on my Facebook and Twitter pages, and try to talk with other people. One of the main things I like to talk about is like evolution. I try to talk with creationists, and that's a pretty big topic of mine. I got my degree in molecular biology, so I'm very astute and educated, knowledgeable on biology and the subject of evolution. So actually, there was a woman on Twitter who actually wrote a poem about creationism, and a bunch of people on Twitter kind of like stuck with her and kind of guided her through the process, and eventually over like the period of like a year, she eventually came to reject young earth creationism, and now I think she's even kind of reconsidering her religion as a whole. So I don't think anybody is beyond reach. I think that it just takes patience and understanding of where people are at. So that's kind of my thing. And I think that's about it I have for an introduction, so we can send it on over to the next guy there.
Tyler, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I wasn't sure if it was
Go ahead and
Brennan
take
or
it
not.
over there, buddy.
All right. Well, my name is Tyler Moon. I'm one of the other admins for Philosophical Atheism. Essentially, I've been a out atheist for about a year and a half to 2 years now. I was a pretty slow convert. Started off as a Southern Baptist, and it was pretty much very strong in my family. My little brother, he actually was the first one to jump off the religious train, in the sense of turning his back on what we grew up with, and he actually went the route of becoming a Mormon. And I found out later on that my stepdad was also that way. And the more I got into it, the more I realized, I was like, I was like, if it's so clear, why do we have all these different branches? Why is there a Mormon? Why is there a Baptist? Why is there a Catholic? Why is there Islam? Why is there, and so on and so on. And so I decided to go into it further and further, and eventually I started my first couple years of college off at North Greenville University as a Christian Studies major, where I was going to minor in youth ministry to actually teach the truth to children. That's what I felt like I wanted to do with my life at the time. But as I started getting into old New Testament surveys and actually digging deeper and deeper and deeper into it, it became very apparent that they were running the church it was being taught to us more in the sense of like how it is as a business than it was about the truth, and and digging deep and really solidifying why it is we believe what we believe. And I would bring that up. I know that I would be like, all right, well, Adam and Eve had the kids. Well, who did they procreate with? Okay, well, there's no clear answer on that. There's a couple theories, but there's no clear answer. Okay, well, what about the people in the land of Nod? Answer that one. Okay, let's move to that. Eventually, it became a steamroll of too much things that we don't know, and eventually that got me wondering. Well, if we don't know, why do I believe this? I don't want to believe this. I want to know. I'm not comfortable with dedicating my entire life to something that is calling for me to basically, sever all ties and follow Christ if I don't know if he even existed. Then I find out that that's not even that unique of a story. There's a bunch of them that came before that was pretty much carbon copies of rinse and repeat over and over again. And eventually, I came to the conclusion that you really can't know because there's not enough information to validate it. Whenever that came to be, I declared myself as an agnostic. Family wasn't too happy about it, but for the most part, I kind of kept that one swept under the rug. Stopped going to church at that point, and started going to college. I was changed over to biomedical engineering as a major. Didn't quite finish, unfortunately. I'm planning on going back, but because of all the processes there, I became more of a analytical thinker. I became more looking at the data. I want to see observable evidence. I want to know why we believe what we believe, and I'm not going to fight for something if I don't know why I believe it. And basically, that's the story of how I became an atheist. Is that the longer it took, the more I realized that this is a load of hockey. But that being said, I'm not an anti-theist, whereas a lot of other people are. Because I realize how involved that it can be with some people, and I will fight for everyone's right to believe what you want. However, if you're going to believe it enough to the point to where you're going to insist that we base policies off of, and you're going to be decapitating other people and things like that, and hindering rights of of gays and women and things like that, you need to know it. We need to know exactly why we should be doing this, and frankly, there's no clear answer on that. So anyway, long story short, I now admin for philosophical atheism. I try to focus on the more humanitarian aspects of atheism, which is getting into our topic tonight, because that's I am part of a local humanitarian group, and it's very similar to what we'll be discussing tonight. So it would be nice to hear some of the feedback on what other people have to say about it. Back to you, Aeolus.
All right, thank you everyone for your introductions. Shout out to all our viewers right now on YouTube. We have a guy called Free Thinking Secularist over there, and just in case you guys didn't see it, he said we're the next 4 horsemen of atheism, and I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty funny at the same time. So shout out to everybody over on YouTube viewing right now, and shout out to anyone else that's viewing that has not commented. So to go ahead and get into the main topic here, the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes, we're going to be talking about, do you think that atheists need a church? And more importantly, do you think that we need a non-theistic type of community gathering? So first, I guess we need to go ahead and talk terminology for all of our viewers, because I know my audience draws in a large percentage of Christian viewers. So when we're talking about atheism being on the rise and religiosity being on the decline, when we speak about atheism, we're talking about the lack of a belief in a God or gods. So basically, atheism is the default position. If you don't believe in anything, or you don't know why or what you believe, you're probably an atheist. That's not a bad thing. But a lot of people have a misconception when it comes to the term atheist and what that actually entails. It is no movement. It is no forward-thinking type of stance per se. As I said, it's just a lack of a belief in a god or gods. If anybody would like to chime in on that, you can go ahead now.
Well, this is a very interesting subject, because a lot of people don't understand the terms as far as beliefs and knowledge. Because a lot of people, and I don't know if some of you guys would agree with me or disagree with me, but a lot of people try to assign it as theist, atheist, and agnostic. And that's just simply not the case. Agnostic and Gnosticism speaks towards what you know. So, I mean, if you say, well, I'm an agnostic. Okay, that means you don't know what? You don't know what you believe? Okay, I don't know if a God exists or not, but I don't believe a God exists. That's why I classify myself as an agnostic atheist. And that is just a term to explain, what I know about God and what I believe about God. And that is the only thing that says about me. So A lot of people want to try to assign like today I've been watching this one video that I'm planning on doing a response video to, where a guy says atheistic science, and that is just the biggest load of bullshit that I've ever heard, because there's no such thing as atheistic science. There's science. If any science includes God in it, then you're not really doing good science, because there's no evidence for God. And if you really ask any theist, they're not going to claim that there is any evidence for God, because that's how they define faith as stuff that you can't, or they define God as supernatural, as something that can't be measured in reality. So you're not going to be able to measure it with science, or at least that's one venue that I've heard, and that's the best one that I've heard. But as far as this particular subject goes, atheist simply means that you don't believe in a God, and that's all it means, and you can't assign any other traits to it.
Right, and just to chime in one more time, I wasn't expecting you to go into the whole realm of agnostic and all that, but I just wanted to go ahead and say that everyone at least is an agnostic. You're either an agnostic atheist or an agnostic theist, or you can be somewhere in between, which you can be somewhere in between, but agnostic is not the middle point between atheist and theist. So I see Brendan wanted to say something there.
Yeah, actually, I agreed with a lot of what John said, but basically, I did a video on this early on, one of my first videos. It's called "What is Atheism? A Crash Course," and it's basically just going through this, and basically the four different possibilities between Gnostic, agnostic, and then theist and atheist, and what they mean. And actually, beyond that, I described Richard Dawkins' scale of theistic probability, which has seven different options. To kind of clarify your position on how strongly or weakly you feel. And actually, he left the middle ground is called like purely agnostic, where like you literally consider it a 50-50 proposition. Or basically, from my perspective, it's just like plain apathy. Like you just don't care. You're like, well, we can never know, so I don't care. And but that's who's really not going to take a position either way. Like even if it's just the slightest little bit hint of oh, I feel this way or the other. So I mean, technically, I guess pure agnosticism could be a position, but it's really just apathy. But yeah, other than that, I just wanted to mention that I pretty much agree with everything else that was said. So.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in a little bit on this one as well. I think why a lot of people start to, where they start acknowledging being agnostic with being atheist or not, is that like for me, for example, I was a Christian, I was a theist, but then once I started doubting things, I was like, oh, no, I'm agnostic because I don't know. I went from strongly held belief to I don't know to no, and that middle ground, sometimes people will draw a hard line and be like, look, you either believe or you don't believe. It's one of the two. You can't really be one or the other. You may not really consider it very much, but you are one of the two. And that kind of creates a little bit of a pitfall, because you can be a Gnostic believer. That's fine. And like what I also say in a minute ago, I mean, everyone to a certain degree is an atheist. It's like if you don't believe in Zeus, you're an atheist. You don't believe in Jesus, you're an atheist. We just like what I can't remember who said before, but we just take it one step further and we just don't believe in yours specifically. And unfortunately, because of the background we come from, they have you're either with us or against us kind of mentality. And, as soon as some people found out that, I didn't necessarily believe or I was even doubting it, they immediately correlate that to devil worshiping, which is completely not true. But in their mind, you're either of God or you're not, of God. They're the ones drawing the line in the sand. But there can be a pure agnostic. As with what Prototype was saying, who's not really going to take a stance. I mean, you may not care, but everyone's got a stance to some degree. But there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with any of the three, as long as you, in my opinion anyway, as long as you respect all three of them's right to exist, in harmony with one another. But again, whatever stance you choose to take, you need to be able to back it up, which is why I lean more towards an agnostic atheism side of things.
All right, so once again, shout out to everybody. We finally got Tina in the chat. We also have a question posed by Ja Perez. He wants to know, what about people who are theists but don't subscribe to doctrine and dogma of religion? What are they called? Well, maybe you can do a little reflection on that. I would say probably just still considered a theist, but you may also be leaning towards the deist side. And I'm sorry that we had to waste time on definitions there. It really isn't a waste of time because it is still commonly believed throughout the religious communities that atheism is a religion or a positive pushing position, when it is not. As we discussed, atheism is just a lack of a belief in God. So sorry that we had to continually reiterate on that. So let's go ahead and get started with this. The title of this stream is a little bit misleading because I worded it in a way, do atheists need church? And basically the answer to that question is no, atheists don't need a church, because atheism, as we said, is just a lack of a belief. So really you couldn't have an atheist church because it would just be all encompassing. It would be everything except theism, which is kind of silly and ridiculous and wouldn't really gather many people. In a perfect world, we would not need a non-theistic community. All communities would be non-theistic, and you would not invoke the God concept in any of them, but we do not live in the perfect world. We live in the theist world, hence the need for this type of thing. So Sunday assembly, do I think we need it? Yes or no? In the most non-ambiguous, unvague sense, yes, I think that we need it. I think that religion has been allowed to persist and continue on throughout the centuries because it's been able to organize and mobilize and give people a sense of community. I mean, even today, when you have churches that are preaching like hate and intolerance against specific people, they basically have that social sense. It's such a great feeling to be in fellowship with other people. And I think that because they have this, that's what's keeping them going. Like, people look forward to church every Sunday. You may have people that are sitting in the pews and saying, well, I don't really believe that. And, I don't think the pastor was right about that, but hey, I'm having a good time here doing this. All my friends are here. Let me continue doing this thing. And I think that that's something that we atheists and just basically non-theists in general have never been able to capitalize on. And I did a video recently about why atheists are so hostile. It will pretty much discuss some of that, because when you have an atheist gathering, as I mentioned before, it's basically going to be everything that does not relate to theism, which is such a wide array of topics that you may find that you don't have any common ground with your fellow atheists. So your other atheists over there may be pro-abortion or pro-life and pro-choice, let's say it that way, and you may not be. You may find that you differ in every single sense that there is with your fellow atheists, and that's probably one of the reasons why we've never been able to organize and mobilize, much like herding cats, as Richard Dawkins says. So basically, yes, I think that we need Sunday assembly. I can already tell that we're going to have a backlash from the atheist community. I mean, we've already been seeing it for the reasons that we've already previously discussed. I don't want to continue beating this same bush into the ground or beating the dead horse, as they say. But I think that we do need this. We need this social structure. We need something to combat that which the theists have. I guess I'll spare you what I experienced in Sunday assembly until I'm closer to the end, would we say, if we still think that it is needed or not, because basically we touched on everything. But I'm gonna go ahead and let the Godless Engineer tell what he thinks about Sunday assembly.
Well, I really think that we need a community gathering as far as the Sunday assembly goes. And my community that I run online is kind of like an online emulation of that, I guess. I've created the groups that I run to try to provide a safe place for atheist agnostics and secular humanists to be able to come and get help and whatnot. But the thing with being online is that you have a lot of people that get really, really confident in themselves and say things that they normally wouldn't say to people, like face to face. And so we have to be really strict about it online. But as far as what Aeolus has experienced with the Sunday Assembly and having a physical like community to go to and experience, I think is something that's very much needed. I know around in my area, in North Alabama, if you weren't part of some kind of church community, you just didn't have any friends. I mean, you were kind of an outcast. So, I mean, if you had friends, those friends went to church, and so if you didn't go to church, then you were kind of left out of all of their activities. And so I think it's a great facilitator for morale, for people to find fellowship. It's just it's a really good way to get people involved with each other and helping each other out and getting them connected with each other. And another thing that's good about it is that you can organize each other and you can actually provide like a service back to the community. You can do these community service things and you can give back, like I said. But also another thing with churches is that you have these mission trips. Well, I mean, why can't an atheist community get together and go off somewhere and do something? You already see that with tornado disasters out in Oklahoma when we had those tornado disasters. The local atheist groups got together and they helped out with the cleanup effort. So I mean, there's stuff like that. But
Are we still going here, or am I just lagging?
I think he cut out on us.
Yeah, I think we may have lost you there, Godless Engineer.
Yeah, I lost him too.
If you, I mean, I'd like to keep him going on his train of thought there. Let's give him a second, see if he refreshes.
If you don't mind, in the meantime, while we're waiting for him to come back, I just want to address that earlier question real quick about, what if you believe in something but you don't ascribe to any particular dogma or belief system or anything. To me, that sounds like deism, where you think there's something out there, you believe that a God exists, but you don't have any set of beliefs. There's no strict dogma or anything that you necessarily follow. And to me, that's acceptable. The thing with me with theism is when people are making claims that they can't substantiate. If you just believe that there's a God out there that exists, that maybe created the universe or something, okay, that's fine. But as long as you're not saying like, oh, it is this God that did this, or he's there's heaven, or he interacts with people, or he expects this kind of behavior with you, and I can respect that viewpoint, because to me it's functionally atheism. It's the worldview that you would have, because you're not going to change anything about the way you live your life based upon believing that something created the universe, just that belief alone. So I just wanted to put that out there. Looks like, I don't know, he's not even showing up on the bottom of my screen here at all, so I don't know if you want to wait for him to come back, or...
Yeah, I think he may have tapped out. We're going to wait for him to chime back in here on this live stream. So basically what I'm saying is we're going to wait for him, but we're going to let the next person go. Sorry. And the next person is you, Brendan. Okay,
so I'll just jump in there then. Yeah, I think as far as atheist churches, you can call it that, and that's fine. The word doesn't necessarily mean anything, have any connotation to it or anything. I think basically people call it that is because a bunch of people get together on a Sunday morning, and it's pretty much in the tradition of religious churches. And I think a lot of the people that would like to go to these type of gatherings are people who were raised in religion, and a lot of I think that most atheists were raised with religion. and were raised going to church, and so it's something they're familiar with. It's something that has been tradition for them. It's where they go for a sense of community, like he was saying, like John was saying, that's where maybe all your friends are, and if you're not a part of that, or maybe you don't have opportunities to go on trips or to have that kind of interaction with the community, maybe do philanthropic work, help the needy, help in disaster recovery, and all the type of things that churches operate. They do food banks and all that kind of stuff. And so if you don't believe what they believe, if you don't believe in a God, but you still want to do those things, you still want to, help your fellow man and do humanitarian efforts, I think it is definitely helpful to have a place to go where you can have that kind of community. It looks like John might be jumping back in here, so if he does, I can turn it back over to him. But, personally for me, even when I was religious, I really wasn't a huge fan of church. It wasn't something I needed. I grew up in the Chicago area, so I didn't live in the Bible Belt or anything. So, there wasn't this huge community pressure or anything like that to be part of a church. It was just something, my mom took us to church every week, and we did, religious education. And it was just, it was something I remember, not wanting to go as I got older and got into high school and things. But she always made us go, and so I just kind of went along with the program. And but it's, as I got older and went to college and kind of had the choice of my own, it's not something I really wanted to do. I did try a bunch of different churches just to see, what they believed in, because I was kind of, searching for something that wasn't Catholicism to see. But, personally, I don't know. If I would go to something like a Sunday assembly, I think I might go check it out to see what it's about, which, I'm interested to see what you have to say, what your experience was. But the thing with me is, I have a unique situation where I've only been an atheist for a couple of years, and my wife is not an atheist, she's a Christian, and when we got married, we were both Christians, so, I would just be going by myself, I guess, or maybe if I found some other people in the area. But, to me, the thing about church that bothered me always was that I always felt like Sunday would be, like family time. Your lives are so busy, you got so much going on, especially when you have kids, that, to take a whole Sunday morning and carve that out to go to church and get ready and drag the kids and all this. And to me, it's just a huge ordeal. And to me, that time could be spent doing better things, whether it's, a religious church or an atheist assembly or whatever you want to call it. So for me, I probably wouldn't go, at least not at this point in time, but I am interested, and I definitely understand that there's people out there where that would be something they would want, and something that would be helpful for them, because like I said, atheists definitely need a place to go where they can do all the things that churches do, only, minus the, believing in God part. People doing philanthropic work is really important, I think, and because a lot of the times, church groups or religious groups, they won't allow atheists to help them if they know you're openly atheist, or it's just kind of odd, it's kind of weird, you feel kind of rejected, or it could be uncomfortable. So I think it is important for people that are like-minded to get together. Definitely not something where everybody would come together and like bash on religion for an hour or something, or just I think it would have to be something positive and not focused on religion, not being the opposite of religion, being something of its own, being something focused towards, humanism or something of that nature. But I guess another point I just want to throw out there real quick, and then I can send it over to you guys for your thoughts. But I had this ongoing conversation several days with this woman on Twitter, and she was just, the whole reason that I got involved with her was because she was saying that atheism is a religion. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go correct her and explain it to her. And yeah, no, I was wrong. She just kept going on and straw-manning atheism, what atheism means. She kept misrepresenting what religion is. She kept saying that we worship, science or ourselves, or all the normal, usual misrepresentations of atheism. And she just couldn't get off of the atheist church thing. Like, she said, are there atheist churches? And I said, well, yeah, I never denied that there were. I knew that there were, and that's fine. Okay, there's atheist churches, great. And I try to kind of explain to her, that's a place where people that used to be religious go because that's what they're used to or whatever. And she wasn't having it. She was determined to misrepresent atheism, to try to level the playing field by equating, atheist gatherings with church, with belief in God. and just basically not interested in having any honesty at all, but trying to like trap me into admitting that we're the same thing as religion. And I just wasn't having any of it. And this lasted several days. I had other people chiming in on it too, and eventually she just ended up blocking me. But you know, that's really frustrating when people try to parse words and play word games and use semantics. And you know, when you correct them and tell them what your position is, or you know correct them on why they're wrong, they just refuse to accept it because they just want to misrepresent you in order to, you know, attack you or bring you down, and make it seem like you don't have, you know, an actual position or argument on it. So I think I probably said enough for now. So I don't know if you want to go back to John.
John, are you in there? Are you in there like swimwear? We're getting nothing from John. Tyler's covering his face there. Let's also give a quick shout out to all of our viewers over on YouTube, or if you're viewing here on Google Hangouts. John, if you're still in here, can you try to get back with it, buddy, so we can finish up with what you thought about Sunday Assembly. So real quick over here, we've got Ja Perez. He says, public assembly brings community support and political power when put into motion. I agree 100%. That is the importance of mobilizing and organizing. We've got Dark Light. Being a minority throughout the world, it is better to be scattered around and not have physical locations to be attacked by theists. We are the rebel alliance of free thought. Maybe that is true, but we won't always be the rebels. One day we will be the majority, and why not go ahead and try to get that enacted sooner? I think that's what we should try to do. And I see someone here mentioned in the comment section that it would be much like the Pride movement. I believe that was Ja. And see how far they have come in the past 25 years. They have, and it's because they've been organizing and they've been mobilizing, and they've came out and they've kind of turned the word gay from a term that brings a negative connotation into something that is positive and vibrant. And that's something that we have to do with atheists. The word atheist and atheism, we haven't been able to turn that around just yet. Aeolus, how was your experience there? We'll go over that toward the end. I see the comments are really flying in now, so I'm just going to stop, and we'll go ahead and let Tyler say what he has to say, and then we'll come back to the comments. Don't want to spend too much time there. All right, Tyler.
Did you really just say in there like swimwear? Please don't do that again.
Yeah, I had to, man. I had to kick it old school one time.
All right, so for those of you who do not know me, I am a part of a local humanist group, and for those of you who are looking for something along the lines of a Sunday assembly, something like that, most places do have a local humanist group. Look for them, and that's usually where you'll find a lot of your atheists that are hanging out. Yes, there are many perks to having a Sunday assembly. I have not been to a formal Sunday assembly, so I can't tell you exactly what they do there. But at ours, what we like to do is we'll bring in, like a couple weeks ago, we had a neuroscientist come in, and he was talking to us about near-death experiences and things like that. And we were talking about like how it affects the mind, looking at people and how and their claims and how their claims can be explained with science, things like that. At no point have we ever really stopped and bashed religion at any point, because it's not about that. And anyone who actually knows what atheism is about will tell you that we are not about bashing anything. We're about truth and standing up for what we know to be true. And if we don't know it to be true, then how can we figure it out? Unfortunately, some other sides look at it like it's an attack. There are many perks to having a church, so in that sense. So, am I going to say do we need it? I'm going to say we need it to be an option, at least, because there are many times where, especially like down here, and I do live in the Bible Belt, we are extremely isolated. If it wasn't for my local humanist group, I would not know another atheist, and within a 200-mile range of me. I wouldn't know. I would be alone. I feel like I'm alone at work. I feel my people who I'm with on a daily basis are pretty much all religious. So it's like I would have no support system. I have no Like anytime I'm like, oh, I'm sick, I'm going to the doctor or something like that. Oh, I'll pray for you. I'm like, no, I don't need prayer. I need help. Do you have someone that can go watch my dog? Do you have someone that can that can turn off all my lights at home? Do you have someone that can I can't get out of my house. Can you get someone that can maybe bring me some groceries or something one day? Someone to help you. Like my grandparents, they moved out of their house that they had for like 30 or 40 years, and they gave me some dressers, and I had one of the guys from the local humanist group. And I got on there. I was like, hey, anybody that can help me, please help me, because this thing's like 300 pounds of solid wood. I'm by myself with my fiance. Please help. And I had one guy who was like, hey, cool, got you. I'm on the way. And he came over within about 10 minutes. And I was like, if I hadn't had that support system in place, I would have been really in a bad place. So even if it's something as simple as that, it allows you to create a good sense of community. It allows you to have options. It makes you not feel quite so alone. That being said, if you're going to do it, like ours is at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's awesome. I hate getting up in the morning, and I do not miss that in the least bit. Again, I don't know exactly what they do at the Sunday assemblies. However, we also do a lot of good things for the community. Live at the beach, so we do. We get together every month. We do beach cleanups. We are gathering bicycles to send to some third world countries for the kids over there. We had a couple of apartments that caught on fire. We all got together and did a food drive for them. Anytime there's someone that's personally going through something, we do that. We find out that if there's any weird laws or anything like that that we feel are unconstitutional, we will get together, discuss it. We have one or two lawyers that we kind of affiliate with, and we talk to them. We're like, hey, this isn't fair to us. We don't want to make it unfair for other people, but we need to make this, make this law neutral. What do you recommend? And we can get in touch with the right people to get the ball rolling. Whereas if you were all by yourself, you would have none of those options. You would literally be going, what do you mean I can't hold public office because I don't believe in God? That's clearly against the Constitution. And it was like, what are you going to do? You can't do anything about it. But having access to a group of people gives you a lot more options. Whether or not you go to it, like I don't go to it every single Sunday. Like I didn't go to it today. But at the same time, I'm still there. We have our own Facebook groups and things like that, and and it gives us an out if any of us are going through a hard time. So, do we need it? I think we do need it, but I don't think it's near. I don't ever foresee it getting as prominent as a religious church would be. Whereas, like you look at how you are whenever you're. I'm going to kind of go off the railroad track here, but you look at how it is whenever you're growing up as a child. Any of you that grew up in a religious area, you don't have very many friends. What friends you do have are all doing stuff with the youth group. They're all, oh, we're going camping this weekend. You want to come with? But you go there, they kind of suck you into into not really having time to question anything. They kind of blindside you with accepting. So they get their quotas and stuff up, but at the same, and you get friends. So it's a quid pro quo. But at the same time, we don't have that as atheists. We don't, we're not trying to necessarily take that away from religion, but we also don't want to, we don't want to copycat that. But it does provide a good service to atheists, and I don't think we need to deny that to anyone. I see John is back. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him. Appreciate you.
Hey, John, just go ahead and pick up where you left off at. I don't know if you can probably remember that or not, but hey, just do the best thing you can. If you can't, just reiterate the points that you already presented really fast, and then continue with wherever you think you left off.
Okay, well, I mean, what was the last thing that I said that you guys remember?
You said Stephen was incredibly handsome.
Yep. That's exactly what I said.
No, truth be told, I'd probably just start over from scratch. We had a lot of stuff covered, including some off-topic stuff since you've been gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say just go ahead and hit it again.
Okay. All right. Well, in short, I do think that community, like the Sunday assembly, all that is needed for the atheist community. Because it really fosters, people coming together and supporting each other. Tyler said, just handing each other support. And my online groups that I manage, that's kind of what we've emulated. That's what we've tried to do. But the problem with online groups is that you get people on there that apparently don't know how to act in community type situations. And we regularly have to kick people out. And so I think that having like a physical community of people in your area that you can get together with, that you can talk to, confide in, seek help from, is really helpful to a person's mental state, to just everything in general about a person. And the only contention that I have is this movement to call it like atheist church, which I know, and you said that you misled your title a little bit, and I understand the reasoning behind that, the misleading title. But in a very real sense, people are calling these Sunday assemblies or these atheist communities churches, because I'm not sure why, other than the fact that they're just they're wanting to emulate what they have left. But with the fact that people are trying to pigeonhole us into a religious movement, I really think it's kind of counterproductive to call it a church. So I think the term Sunday Assembly is actually a really good term to call it. If you're not really part of a humanist group or something like that that does things like more than once or twice a week, that you're an actual like group of people that actually do a whole lot of activities together. But if you're just a group of people that meets up like once or twice a week, something like that just get together and you're providing community with each other and fellowship. I think Sunday Assembly and any of those kind of titles is fine. Of course, that's just all semantical. But I think that having a community of people that you can turn to and talk to without the. I've actually had people tell me that they fear people bringing up God to them, that they're afraid of people bringing up God because they don't want to say, well, I don't believe in God, because then they have to suffer through the onslaught of, oh, well, why don't you believe in God, and all these questions. And I mean, to be honest, most people just don't want to answer these questions. They don't want to spend 30 minutes every single day answering, well, why don't you believe in God? It's just ridiculous. So to be able to have a community of people that you can turn to and talk to and not have to worry about God being brought up is actually very relaxing. And that's what most of the members in my groups have found. Currently, right now, we have a main group, and then we have a addiction recovering group. We have a LGBT group. We have a sort of like a general support group that we manage. We have a whole bunch of different groups that are specifically geared towards helping people and providing that kind of community in a more general online sense. For people that don't have these kind of groups in these kind of in areas like in North Alabama, we actually have a couple groups up here that I don't really go and work with, but that's pretty much because I work all the time. But I do like the fact that these communities, these assemblies are getting formed, and people are finding solace in each other and finding fellowship in each other, coming together, helping each other out, and I think that is very much needed in the atheist community.
All right, so that was a great wrap up by GE about what he was previously talking about. It actually seems like you had it much more well put together. You sure you weren't getting that thing together while you were out?
No. I was scrambling to get my internet all squared away because it's been going in and out for the past couple of weeks now, and it's not working well with me. I'm actually on my phone now, and I'm just hoping that Verizon doesn't start choking me on data.
Someone commented and said maybe he was smited.
Yes, God smote me. It's like, shut that motherfucker up.
He works in mysterious ways, right? He has to disconnect your internet. He didn't actually, lightning bolt smite you.
So this must be the second coming then.
It all begins with the Godless Engineer being disconnected.
You saw it here first.
All right, so just to give another shout out to everybody that has stuck with us throughout the chat. I'm gonna talk real quickly about what I experienced. Before I hop into that, I wanted to mention a couple things here. I noticed that Brendan, aka the Prototype Atheist, was speaking about bashing religion there for a second, and also the Godless Engineer was talking about not calling it an atheist church, even though that's kind of what it is. It's playing semantics. It kind of ties into what I was saying before about if you bring a bunch of atheists together and it's an atheist church, basically what you would be doing is bashing religion. I mean, if you throw a bunch of atheists together in the room, the only one thing that they immediately have in common is that they're an atheist and they do not believe in religion. So that's what they would do. And calling it an atheist church, as I mentioned, is a little misleading, and it kind of promotes that sense that the religious are projecting that we do have this atheist church and we're secretly planning and plotting, and maybe even we in the back of our minds we subconsciously believe in God, because that's what all theists think, right? So Tyler also mentioned that he kind of hit what I was going to hit with having this community. If you're out from work, they can bring you groceries. He spoke about how they helped him move furniture. Basically, it is what can we as people, what can we do for our fellow man? But sometimes, we get into a bind. We need that social structure. What can you do for me? What can this group do for me? At the end of the day, we also need that as well. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that I experienced at Sunday Assembly today. I noticed that when you go on the site, and I saw some atheist commenters talking about this, one of the first things that you can see is the donate button. And this was something that kind of set them off. And while I was there, I also noticed that they passed a basket around and collected money. And at first it kind of like reminded me a lot of church. I was like, wait, they're, like getting this money. And I would say that 100% of the people there donated money, which is an irrelevant statistic for what we're talking about at the moment. But what I like is that all of the money that they obtain, they are telling you exactly where it's going. And the pastors, aka your Sunday Assembly volunteer, is not taking any of those funds. All of those funds are being kept within the organization and used for whatever, be it advertisement for the organization, food. We had a cake today and some coffee, things like that. So that was a good thing that I wanted to talk about, that all donated funds are being used for the organization. Like, no one is becoming the next Benny Hinn or whatever, And their motto is another thing that I wanted to bring up, which is live better, help often, and wonder more. Those are three things that I can really get behind as a humanist. I can really stand behind those three things. Just wanted to bring that up. I also think that Sunday Assembly is going to force religion and churches to step their game up. And what I mean by that is you've got a lot of intolerance going around in churches and people, preaching against different types of people and certain things. This Sunday Assembly, where we're going to come together and be humanists in action, it's really going to force them to change their whole outlook, and I think that may be a good thing. Wanted to ask what you guys thought about that real quick. What do you think the Sunday Assembly effect is going to have on those religious institutions?
Well, me personally, I know at first we've been seeing real like classifying us as a religion because we have because these assemblies have been popping up, especially when they first started calling them atheist churches. Well, I don't know if they were initially calling them atheist churches or if the media was just saying, "Oh, hey, look, they're an atheist church." Um, but
Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened, and then they just went with it. Like the media hit it, like, oh, it's an atheist church, and then they just kind of ran with it.
yeah, probably because it was like provoking, like just the title of it was kind of, it made people mad, and those that embraced it they wanted there basically. I think that it's good that they're that they're letting the community support the organization and that they're not trying to make it out to be like they're donating it somewhere or it's going it's going to something better than what it's actually going to. Like it's actually going to maintaining the church because to be honest, before I became an atheist, I had no idea what the donations to the church went to. Like every morning, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, we give money to the church, and that was just kind of a thing that you do. Never really questioned where it went, but I think letting people know, what it's going to and whatnot. And I'm assuming that it's probably either a nonprofit organization if they even file taxes like that. But if assuming an organization got big enough to where they had to file taxes, I would assume that they would be nonprofit and they would have to file publicly. That way, I mean, they would, all of their finances would be laid out, how much donations they took in, where that money actually went, as opposed to like with the Catholic Church, where $5 billion is set aside to protect pedophile priests. So, in that aspect, I think they're doing it right there. I mean, part of me is wanting to err on the side of caution with the taking up of the donations, though, because, I mean, I think that if someone's going to be an asshole and take money and embezzle it and, do that wrong, they're going to do it with or without religion. So there's always that risk with money involved. Not to say that those particular volunteers that are taking up the money are not to be trusted or anything like that. I'm just saying that in general, hopefully this movement grows to have more assemblies, more atheist communities. I just hope that people kind of keep that in mind and actually actively police it better than what some churches do.
And you guys want to weigh in on? I guess this is kind of sort of the discussion part, so you can unmute.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that a little bit. As far as the donations and whatnot, obviously there's overhead. There's going to be cost, the space that you're meeting in, and various other things just to get everybody together. So I understand that certainly. I think maybe if they wanted to get away from that kind of comparison to religion, maybe they could just charge like an admission or something, or maybe charge dues, like make it like an organization where everybody pays so much per month or per year or whatever, just for the operating costs. And beyond that, if they wanted to do fundraising for efforts, like Tyler was talking about, they might consult some lawyers about some concerns they have with certain laws or things like that, and or for philanthropic work, if they wanted to start a food bank, if they wanted to help people, or pick specific organizations to support. I think that's definitely admirable and would be a good thing to do. Even when I went to church, like I wasn't big on tithing or anything. I never believed in that. Because for that very reason, that I want to know where my money's going and I want to know what it's doing. So I wasn't big on just writing a check or putting some money in a basket to a church, and that's the reason I started that Atheist Tips campaign. If you guys aren't familiar with it, I did a video about that. It's been going for a few months now. Yeah, I just throw that out there in case any. Basically, what it is you over-tip people. Your waiters, waitresses, whoever. You over-tip people because they don't make a lot of money and so they can use it. But you don't have to. Beyond that, it's I help my family members when they need something, or I help friends, or maybe somebody in the community that is, facing some kind of battle, some kind of medical condition or something like that. But I want to know for sure where my money's going. There's some charities that are very reputable and very transparent that I would also consider donating to. So it's not like I don't, give to any charitable organizations. But I definitely want to know where my money's going. And as far as, Sunday assembly or, atheist gatherings itself, I think it's a good thing. I think that, something that I didn't really think of was, again, that kind of like consulting with, lawyers to kind of combat things that actually affect people's lives, that kind of, make us treated differently by the government or by the local community. And, that's important, especially at the local level. That's usually where it has the most impact. I guess my only concern is that I don't want to end up being like religion, where we have a bunch of different sects, where we splinter off too much and we become too spread thin, because there's already a lot of organizations that are doing work. There's Freedom from Religion Foundation and American Atheists, and they have, a little bit different things that they do, but they're all kind of in the same vein. And so my only concern would be, because we want to kind of get atheists, together to have, a common cause for a secular society. And so, that would be my only concern, I guess, is that we're just spreading it out too thin. But it's definitely, I think, could be a good place for people to go locally and meet like-minded people and, have a sense of community. So I'll throw it over to Tyler if he's got anything to say.
Yeah, actually, on this one as well. Now, just real quick before I get on to mine, what you were just referring to, I do look at groups like Freedom from Religion and things of that nature as more of like national chapters, if you will, of certain groups, and doing things like Sunday Assembly and humanist groups are definitely more local. So that's a little bit better for creating a structure in that sense. But I do see what you're saying, though. You can have a lot of things that are slightly different, and then you wind up like all the communities wind up being small, hodgepodge of small communities instead of one branch of a tree, essentially. Now with our group, we do charge they do charge a membership fee, which is really cheap. So it's only like $5 or something like that. Like, it's really cheap, for a year. Every time we have a meeting, at the end of every meeting, we have our treasurer that sits out there with us, and he's like, hey, in our bank this time we have X amount of money. It costs us blah 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 to get for the rental unit of the space. We spent X amount of money on food. We appreciate it. Next time, if anybody wants to bring some sodas and someone else wants to order pizza or something like that, bring it in with you. Or if we got to rent like a video projector to watch a video or something like that together, everything's accounted for. Like every single time you go there, we pretty much have to the exact dollar amount what do we have available, and and what do we have in excess. Now we've talked about like what do you want to do with the money that's in excess. Anything from helping local charities. One thing that we haven't touched on yet, but one thing that was really kind of nice that we were discussing was possibly buying a billboard. Again, we're down here in the Bible Belt. There's a religious billboard every third billboard, but to randomly have a humanist one pop up, it's like, whoa, that's an option down here. Like, what's going on? What is this? It gets people questioning it, which gets your word out, which gets you guys to grow and gets more people questioning things. So there are a lot of options for what you can do with the surplus. But the nice thing is that pretty much everything is voted on, and everything is accounted for. So in that regard, it's a wonderful thing. And when I was at church, I was never much of a tither anyway. It was like 10%. It's like, oh, you want $60? Here's $3. I was never good at that. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm too hard up to do it. And they would try to guilt you into tithing more, because like, oh, God will bless you if you do. There was a whole thing about this the other day. I think it was it Joel Osteen or whatever it was? Someone was like lost my house, lost my car, blah blah, and he was like, and he gave a link to his group. It was like, oh hey, let us know here and we'll pray for you. It's like you make 6 figures a year doing essentially going around and talking. It's like you can't throw that. You can't throw one guy who's blatantly like, I need help, please help me. I'm up in this terrible place. And it's like, no, I'm not going to help. Even though it completely contradicts the message of what they say they believe. So I like the account of the money better. Now, as far as going back to the original question, what is this going to do to churches? Like if we start forming up like this, it does give them a more of a focused area to what they need to focus on as far as like where we are, what we stand for. But they've never really been big on telling the truth as far as what we stand for anyway. Like I was saying earlier, like once people find out that you're an atheist, one of the first things they usually jump to is, oh, you're a devil worshiper. They associate you with something else, or they try to give you a straw man argument about what you believe, and it's like, I can tell you what I believe. Let me explain it to you. And they don't want to hear it because their pastor's been telling them this for the past 20 years as to who we are, what we stand for, even though they really have no clue. And so it will give us a more definitive voice. It gives us resources, and really, I mean, there's not that many drawbacks to it. To be honest with you, I see it as being pretty much good in every way. It might make them go a little bit more on the offensive, but then again, it gives us a weapon. It gives us a sense of community, and we can all rise up and and start supporting one another. And maybe it might make it easier for people who are like I was towards the end of my time in Christianity, where I was like, you know what, I don't know anymore. And I started looking for like what my options were. There was no humanist group, at the time. I didn't know to look there. Every time I would have friends, they would be like, oh, we're going out with youth group. We're going out with this group. It was always something related with church and what the church is doing. It's like, but what if the tables had turned and there was a local group that was like, hey, we're doing a soup kitchen this weekend. Hey, why don't you come out and join us with that thing? And you can meet people and help people, and you can genuinely do good work, for everybody. That would have given another resource, and I could have followed a different crowd into that at the minimum was just doing good for other people. It wasn't really about any one thing other than learning more about life and doing good for other people. Which, on that note, I was part of a group that we were actually going to go to a soup kitchen, and we were rejected. They were actually putting a thing out saying, "Hey, we need help," but we were rejected because, and I quote, "We are doing the Lord's work here. We don't need your help." I was like, "You ask for help." It's like, we're not wearing shirts, we're not advertising. You say you want help, we're willing to come work, and they just blazingly said no. It's like, what?
Sorry, let me see if I can embody what they probably sounded like. What? We're doing the Lord's work. We ain't doing the devil's work. Get on out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty. Actually, the accent was pretty accurate too. So, but yeah, so it's like that. But you look at what happens because as a result of those actions. First off, the churches look good because whenever it comes to helping the people, who's there doing it? The churches. We don't have the option because they've blocked us. We can't do it. We don't have the resources that they got. So whenever it comes to it, like whenever you're hurting, you're on the street, where you go? Soup kitchen. Okay, cool. Go to the soup kitchen. Who's there? The church. Where are the atheists? Oh, those devil worshiping people. They don't want to help anybody. It's like, but if you actually look at what we are and what we stand for, that's all we do. That is all we do. We are completely selfless with our beliefs. All we say is we want to know the truth, and we want to make humanity better. Like we want to help everyone. That's what we do. That's like, but that allows them to create the straw man argument. So they get to have the good face out there. They get to quote unquote help the community. But we're sitting on the sidelines going, hey, can we? We just want to be, we just want to help too, and we're being told no. So, if we have our own groups and we start forming our own communities, then we can do these things. We can set up our own soup kitchens. Whenever, like I said a while back, we had there was a local apartment complex burnt down. That gives us a resource. We can all gather together and be like, hey, from the local humanist association or local Sunday assembly, here are 200 gallons of water and all these batteries and all these clothing, and we did a drive for ourselves. Take what you need, and you go down to your local Red Cross, and your group can give it to them. They can use it as tax write-off, whatever it is they want to do. But that shows that we're not these evil people. So it starts to hurt the actual like Christian churches and and other churches of that nature. It starts hurting their message, because then it becomes in everyone's face that we're not bad people. Maybe we don't know who they are, and then we get a voice. So that's all I'm going to say on that topic. Back to you, Aeolus.
All right, we're about an hour and 20 minutes in now, so I'm going to briefly touch on reiterating this one more time just in case, because as I said before, the title is misleading. So Sunday Assembly is not an atheist church. their central tenet, the one thing that binded everyone together, was the celebration of life. And that is simply, that's the one thing that ties all of it together. That's the one thing we're there to celebrate and meet other people who have that same sense of celebration for life. Um, Once again, it's not an atheist church because atheism is usually not all inclusive, and also announcing you're an atheist is generally social suicide, and bashing religion is the one thing that all atheists may have in common. Now, some people are not anti-theists, so they would not bash religion, but I think that generally the anti is a little misplaced. I've said that before in previous videos. If it is you who is anti-humanity, anti-truth, anti-science, then you're the problem, not us, even if we are anti-theists. I think the importance is to reclaim the term atheist or atheism, just as the gay movements have done with the words queer and transgender and gay. They've been able to capitalize on that and reclaim the term and use it for a positive outlook. I think one of the problems that I foresee with Sunday Assembly is that it may grow too fast. Just mentioning that, I think they tried to open, like, what was it, 20 more churches. You guys can unmute now if you want to. I think they tried to mention that they were opening like 20 for a total of 38 different Sunday assemblies across the world. I think that growing too fast may lead to some structure issues where they may deviate to little sects. I read an article about, I think it was Godless Revival or something like that. One group broke off from Sunday Assembly. Did you guys see anything about that?
No, how did they break off?
I think it was a group of atheists that they wanted to be there and actively like bash religion. They wanted to bash religion, and they weren't doing that at Sunday Assembly, so they kind of broke off with their group. I guess there was a large enough group of them that wanted to do it.
Well, I think. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I can see having like a small group, like, you know how in churches they have like the Sunday schools and the dedicated group, they have like the singles group and things like that. I can understand like creating like a side group that, that wants to focus, on why religion is harmful for people. But I can't, I don't want to use the term hate group, but that seems like that would spin off very negatively really quickly. But I don't know, like it growing too quickly, I would be more worried about it becoming more too commercialized. I think I don't want it to lose the essence of what it of everyone coming together. I like that it's so crystal clear, and that there's no smoke, there's no mirrors, there's just people that care coming together. I like that aspect, and if it gets to be too big, I don't want it to become too commercialized where, it gets to be a little too out of hand. But unfortunately, I borderline think that might be a necessity. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there a little bit ago, John. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, I think that that's kind of counter, that it's really counter to what any kind of group or assembly or anything like that really should be about, because it should be about providing people with a support basis with fellowship and whatnot. That's what it should really be about, and not bashing religion, because you can bash religion on Facebook, Twitter, you can bash religion all you want to everywhere else. I don't understand why you have to have like that in every single facet of your life. Like me personally, I don't bash religion in every single facet. I have a wife, kids, work, and then in our groups, actually, we have a good bit of people that leave because we're not just simply an atheist group. Like, that's not the only thing that we talk about in there. We have people that talk about their personal issues that are in no way like religiously related at all. And people get upset over that and they leave. And if that's all that you're there for, then that's fine. I don't care if you leave or not. But I just think that a support group or assembly or something like that really needs to be more about having a fellowship with each other and helping each other out and just being that supportive communal base for each other rather than, getting with each other, bro-fisting and being like, yeah, religion's stupid.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there is kind of like what was happening with the whole godless revival. I guess enough of them got together and they just wanted to spend their entire time bashing religion, which I guess I would consider that anti-theism, not necessarily atheist, because we have to keep reiterating this that atheists or atheism is the lack of a belief in a god. So that's it. Like you said, they don't have many other things in common there. So I see Brendan wanted to say something there.
I just don't see the point in creating a group specifically just to, bash religion. Because then you're pretty much still letting religion consume your life. Only you're just not a part of it, but you're so set against it that you're just like becoming what you hate. Certainly we can speak out against religion, absolutely. But if you're going to go to the trouble of having a group of non-believers, it should be about something positive. It should be about not religion itself. And if you want to go out and have some beers afterwards and then talk about things, I think it's good to have that discussion. You don't want to preach to the choir, there's no point in that. But certainly being able to defend why you don't believe is important. And so I think discussing ideas and arguments why that you can defend yourself, because not everybody is equally exposed to or aware of such arguments. So I think it's important to discuss, but certainly, should not be the overarching theme of why you're gathering with other atheists for any reason. So.
Yeah, I just think that kind of like bridges the gap over into what actually anti-theism is. And I mention this all the time. Atheists are 9 times out of 10 not anti-theists. We don't care what you believe. You can believe in anything you want as long as it's not affecting us or our lives.
Now, one other thing to chime in on that as well. I know in our local humanist group, we actually have I think it's the Unitarian Church or something like that. We actually have some people that are a part of that. And they actually come and and sit down with it, to see what we're about. And sometimes they speak, and sometimes they listen. It's like what you were saying at the very beginning there, Aeolus. Atheism in and of itself is just a lack of belief in a god. There is so much more to life than whether or not you believe in a god. And I think I do agree that the message should focus on being something positive. Otherwise, we're just going to be them, screaming that the end is coming and everything is woe. And I don't want to be a part of anything like that either. But at the same time, I also agree with what Proto was saying. It's if you want to go out afterwards and sit down and discuss it, and whatnot, that's great. I think that's a good way for you to make friends, especially passionate friends, and that passion can drive a lot of positivity if done right. But to form up a group strictly around we hate religion, that I see that as being more harmful than I do seeing it being good. That being said, as well, we also have had groups where they'll actually bring up different Bible verses and things like that, and we'll actually discuss loopholes and figure out, well, why was this, and we'll have full-on discussions talking about why is this, like, why does this not make sense, and when we, in many cases we try to see how it can make sense, but and unfortunately in many cases it just doesn't. So if you want to have like Bible discussions or something like that, and you want to actually reaffirm like what religions are teaching, like if you want to get together and be like, or what is Christianity teaching? What is Islam teaching? What are exactly are Muslims trying to teaching one another? So that way, it might reaffirm your lack of belief or something along that nature. I do fully support that. That way, it helps the community figure everyone out. That way we can all get on the same page with things, and that might help some people who are finding themselves getting bullied around and not being able to fully defend all of their stances. Then at least they've had discussion groups talking about why the Big Bang is the most probable thing so far, or why evolution seems to be the most probable answer. So a lot of them are kind of like, oh, I believe in this, but they can't quite tell you why. And having discussion groups like that, I think I can see that as being a positive thing to have. But just focusing on being anti-theist in a group that seems like a recipe for disaster to me.
All right, let's. I don't want to cut anybody off there, but we're about an hour and 30 minutes in right now. I know all of us have lives, wives, and kids, so we're gonna go ahead and go through one time, starting with Godless Engineer, then Prototype Atheist, then we'll switch it back to Tyler, and then I'll chime in finally on: do you think that it is necessary after this discussion? I know that we already said this one time, but after this discussion, has it changed your opinion on your thoughts about the necessity of a non-theistic community support group slash structure for non-theists? Why or why not? The quick version.
Well, the quick version for me is that yes, we definitely do need it because we, in general, I think people need a support structure that's outside themselves, something that they can go to and seek guidance from, to seek support from, because it just helps their mental well-being just all around. I think that it really promotes a very good community. It promotes good fellowship between your fellow atheists. It just all around, I think it's a very positive thing to have in your life. And so I very much think that a community or assembly or a group that you can invest a little bit of time into and get to know others in your area that have similar beliefs to you is a very good thing, and I would highly suggest it.
As far as me, I don't want to use, the royal we or, speak on behalf of all atheists or anything like that, because obviously atheists are very diverse. But certainly I think that having, Sunday Assembly type organizations is important for the atheist, movement, if you will, in general. Just, because we're people and people need community and people need like-minded people to interact with and just to go about their daily lives. And especially oftentimes when religious communities and churches can reject non-believers. We heard from Tyler earlier about trying to volunteer at a soup kitchen, and they're like, nope, sorry, it's not happening, just because you don't share their beliefs. And so sometimes it's just necessary to have people who believe the same as you and or who are like-minded, at least in as far as not believing in a God or not having religion, to be able to go out and do things to help your community or to to fight for your rights and things like that. So I think it is important. I think it gives people a community, especially, it depends on the area that you're in, the area of the country or the area of the world that you're in. It could certainly be more important in certain places more so than others. But I think overall it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. And I think that if it's done right, it could definitely be an asset to, many atheists and humanists out there.
Again, I'm going to go with him. I'm not going to speak on behalf of all atheists. However, I can definitely see the benefits of it outweighing the cons. So I'm going to say overall, if I had to vote on it, I would say it is something that we need as an option. Whether or not you individually need it, that might be a different story. However, if we're ever going to have a serious discussion about keeping things fair in politics and keeping things fair in local communities, and heck, even at the bare minimum, having good local support systems and having good humanitarian outreach. You can't really knock that. So, I'm going to say, yeah, we need it overall. Whereas the individual, they may not need it quite so much. Like for me, once I kind of got the structure that I needed, I don't participate as much as I really should. But it's got its up, so I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, we need it overall.
It almost kind of sounds like the religious guilt there. Like, did you go to church this Sunday? I was like, oh no, I didn't, but I really should be in there. That's not at all what we wanna have going there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I mean, and now they message me every now and then, and they're like, "Hey, we haven't seen you in like 2 weeks. Are you coming back?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's been." I mean, and really, work comes up a lot, and catching up with that, and and life in general. But it's nowhere near as severe as missing church. Oh, you miss church, and you miss that one time. You get it all week long from 20 different people throughout your days. But this is more about helping people and reaffirming what science can do for humanity. So in that sense, I actually do look forward to them. We always have meetups afterwards where we go to a local restaurant, and we all have we do like trivia games. I haven't got to participate in those yet, just because I'm never available. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to create friends, and I picked up a good, I'd say 6 or 7 friends from it, so I'm not alone down here anymore, which has done amazing things for me.
That's really good. I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that well, I already said yes, that I thought that this is something that the non-theistic community needs as a whole, and that yes is not all encompassing. I think that we need to properly analyze and make decisions that are circumstantial based on each group, whether it be humanist groups, the AHA, or Sunday Assembly. No matter what it is, we need to continually analyze it and make sure that it is fitting our description of what it is that we're trying to do and what we want to do in society. So I'm just going to simply say yes. I think that we need this, and the reason why is humans are social creatures, and we have demonstrated this throughout all of recorded history, that we are social creatures and we desire to be in the presence of others, to be in the presence of others that are like us and like-minded. So I'm just going to have to go with yes on this. And we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. I don't know if you guys want to do this again. We probably should. We got a lot of topics that I can already foresee that we need to discuss. But if you guys are interested, just let me know. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and everybody's going to advertise their channels, their sites, and whatnot. So go ahead, GE.
I'm the Godless Engineer. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, just about everywhere. Just go to Facebook, type in Godless Engineer, Godless Engineering into the search bar, and find everything about me. Please join our group if you can, be an adult about it and interact with people as an adult. We've been having a lot of trouble here lately with people not being able to interact with other people as an adult. But if you can, please do join our group. We've got a really great group of admins that administer all of our groups, and of course I'm on my page, which I do mainly only post atheist stuff on the page, but that's just because that's my outlet. And I post atheist stuff on my YouTube. So please go to my channel and subscribe to it. I usually try to put out a new response video or a video in general every few days. So please go check me out, and I hope everybody has a nice night.
Yeah, my name's Brendan. I'm Prototype Atheist on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We have recently started, or actually I joined a group on Facebook called Belief is Not a Switch, and I think we only got like 20 members so far. Basically, I think it's just a place for, atheists to get together and discuss things, and there's some other really good YouTube atheists that are members there that, post their latest videos and things like that. I think, Grappling Ignorance is over there, and Nick Dogie and some others. So, just some established people, some up-and-coming people, and that's just something that we're trying to get started. I definitely want to check out your guys' groups as well. But, yeah, pretty much I did enjoy this. I'd be up for doing this again, certainly. I think maybe this one went a little bit too long, but, just play it by ear. But, yeah, I think I could probably, schedule, 45 minutes to an hour once a week, maybe, or once every couple of weeks to do this. This would be a good thing. So I enjoyed this, and I do enjoy the material that you guys put out too. I try to keep up with you guys and comment with you guys too and all that. So yeah, Aeolus, good luck to your Orioles in the playoffs, man.
we'll see what happens. This is the best they've been doing since what, 1983?
Yeah, I guess it's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I'm rooting for you guys. You know,
almost before I was born.
I know, right? You guys got to compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox and all of them. So I wish you guys luck. You know, I'm a White Sox fan, so we had to wait 88 years for our World Series, and we got that. But you know, ever since then, not much. But good luck to you guys, anyway.
88 years. That's such a long time. But Tyler,
Yeah.
go ahead and get him, Tyler.
I personally don't like baseball, so I'm going to get in the doghouse for that one. But anyway, yeah, I was born in '83, so that tells you how long that's been. Anyway, I'm Tyler Moon with Philosophical Atheism. I'm one of the admins. You can follow us on Facebook at Philosophical Atheism. We also have a website at www.philosophicalatheism.com, and our Twitter page is PA Theism. So if you want to follow us on any of those places, we definitely would welcome that. We are currently growing decently rapidly, and we kind of focus a little bit of everything. Each one of our admins kind of has a different flair for what they like to do. I personally like doing more humanist type stuff on there, like promoting the well-being for everyone. Some people like focusing a little bit more on anti-theism, but pretty much the way it goes is as we find things to call out, we call them out, whether it's for the good or for the bad. We like to take as much of a neutral approach to things as we can, although sometimes it's a little hard to do. But anyway, yeah, I am definitely most happy to help out with this anytime you guys would be willing to have me back. I appreciate you guys inviting me.
And Philosophical Atheism also has a YouTube page, guys. Don't forget to go check that out and subscribe. They also have a Facebook page, as he mentioned, facebook.com/philosophicalatheism. I admin over there. I also admin for Religion Hurts Humanity at facebook.com/Religion Hurts Humanity, and I blog at religionhurtshumanity.com. As you can tell, if you're watching this video right now, you're probably on my channel. Go ahead and subscribe. The channel is God Works Out, just in case this video appears anywhere else. And my name, my moniker, I go by Aeolus, a.k.a. your favorite atheist. So don't forget to check everybody's channels out that appeared in this live stream. Don't forget to check out their Facebook pages, link up with them. They're all great, and that's why I invited them. And I know with Godless Engineer, I probably don't promote his stuff as much as I should. I've been slacking on that. I'm really good at promoting the prototype atheist. But, GE, send me a couple videos, intros and stuff, and I'll put them on the beginning of my videos. And I hope we can all get together and do this again soon, guys. I'm sorry that the video ran over so long. I think it's just because it was our first one. We just had so much to talk about. We'll try to get more on topic in future videos.
At our next Sunday assembly, I'll bring pizza.
Yeah, I would most definitely be interested in doing this again. I like doing these live shows. It's just hard to keep up a good schedule with them and get good content.
Not so long. Not an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You're testing my battery over here on my laptop. So.
Yeah, if we can get it to 45 minutes, that would be perfect.
Yeah. No, this was good though, but definitely shorter next time. But this was good. I don't think there's any dead air or anything. We just had a lot to say, so next time maybe more on topic.
All right, guys, it was nice seeing you all again. We'll link up again soon. Hopefully, maybe we can get this thing going like a weekly segment or something.
That sounds good to me.
I like that, the new four horsemen. The new 4 horsemen. I like that.
You're so modest.
All right, guys, it's been nice having you. Everybody, don't forget to go check out their stuff. And as always, thanks for watching.